Aaron, welcome to the program.
Good morning and nice to meet you. And thank you for this interview.
You know, Aaron, I was interested to talk to you because, you know, in my role as an ambassador for Orbis to help raise awareness about avoidable blindness in the run-up to World Sight Day, I thought it incredibly important to talk to executives in India about the experience there and how you did it there. So I remember that Appasamy has a history dating back to, I believe, the late 70s when it developed and started to attack the cataract backlog through its manufacturing of IOLs. But can you tell me a little bit about that and how Appasamy came about to become this great manufacturing facility?
Yeah. Appasamy, the company was started actually in the year 1978, even before when the IOLs had come into existence. At that time, the surgical procedure for cataract was the intracapsular cataract extraction. And for that, the doctors just needed a cryomission to just to remove the cataract and suture the incision. But at that time, especially in India, doctors found it too expensive to own a cryomission because it was very expensive and the import duties into India also was very high at that time. So that is the time when the founders of Appasamy thought they should make something cost effective and a good cryomission for the Indian ophthalmologist for the cataract surgeries. And overnight, they just developed a cryomission, which is with a simple technology. And it was just launched, and the doctors couldn't believe it. But the company gave the doctors and said, "You use the mission. If you're happy, you can pay to us. If you're not, you can return back the mission." So that gave some trust for the ophthalmologist to try the missions, and to the cost of the mission was 1/10 the cost when the doctors were to import it from the Western world. And so in 1978, Appasamy started with the cryo mission, and it was a big success. The doctors were very happy, and it was a big boon for ophthalmologists to do the cataract surgery.
And Aaron, it says on your LinkedIn profile that you were Executive Director of Africa Operations through 2014. So I wanted to ask you, being an expert in that region, what are the top things to do to prevent or eradicate avoidable blindness on the continent, in your opinion?
In Africa, for preventable blindness, the governments in those countries have to have an action plan or programs for the prevention of blindness. This is happening in most of the countries, and they have been supported very well by international eye NGOs, especially Orbis, CBM, and all the other NGOs whom I have mentioned. Orbis has been doing a good part, and in Africa, what I have seen in cataract is still the major cause of blindness, but most of the blindness in Africa, what I have seen is due to trachoma also, because 85% of the trachoma is in Africa, in the poorer areas of Africa. And INGOs have been doing good programs for the control of trachoma. So trachoma is another leading cause of blindness in Africa. And the other leading cause after cataract glaucoma, you can say, is glaucoma, which is a killer disease which causes blindness. And usually, glaucoma is very lately detected in the individuals because they unless they lose a part of the vision, they don't go for a checkup to an ophthalmologist. Then the nerves in the eyes get damaged. So now governments have to take programs to detect and make eye care programs to detect, for do regular eye screening for individuals who are more than the age of 40 to detect glaucoma, cataract. And for the children, the most common cause is refractive errors. Refractive errors needs to be checked and treated at a very, very young age. So refractive errors is also one of the main concerns for the governments. So refractive errors also need to be checked. So programs have to be implemented to control all of this.
You know, last year, Aaron, when we were the official media partner for the World Ophthalmology Congress, which was supposed to take place in South Africa, we did some interviews alongside of that. And one of the interviews was with a Somali ophthalmologist who had mentioned that in the entire city of Mogadishu, and I believe even in the entire country, there was not a single retina laser. And that anti-VEGF had only come to the country in the past 6 months at that point, being administered by one doctor. And it struck me, you know, of course, years and years we've all heard about the challenges of Africa, but it struck me in that moment, you know, because I'm part of this industry, that while we talk about innovations worldwide, some countries are suffering from even the basics, you know. And I wondered whether, you know, there could be a company out there that could provide a retina laser to this Somali doctor, or if that's too complicated given logistics in Africa. I really didn't know the answer to the question, but you've donated supplies to Africa. How complex a process is it, and is it possible to do more in that regard?
With regards to Somalia, we do work in Somalia, and before working in Somalia, we used to work in Somaliland, which is a small neighboring country, and we have been working with one of the big hospitals in Somaliland, and the ophthalmologist in that hospital has been doing good services for the people there, and has all the equipments to do from cataract to a phacoemulsification for the lasers, for detection of the lasers, the Fundex camera, the OCT, and the retina lasers, the YAG lasers, and for the glaucoma, the visual field. And most of the equipments in the setup, including the ones required for the surgeries, have been from Apasami. And we have been working with this ophthalmologist there in Somaliland for the last so many years. And this ophthalmologist has also started a center in Somalia. And he has also got our equipment for the hospital in Somalia. And we try to give our good support to provide the equipment at very, very good, reasonable prices for the equipments and consumables required. And whenever there's a required for a technical support is immediately done.
Well, Aaron, thank you so much for joining the program today.
Thank you, Matt. And it was nice to talk and meet you once again. And thank you also for your time and for this interview.